Oh, I fucking lagged. Okay.
Oh shit, dude.
All right, hold on. One more time.
You got it, man.
Okay, it lagged twice during the fucking me pressing the
Damn.
fucking button. It went
For
through
real?
though the third time, so we're okay.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, it's License to View, weekly pop culture podcast. I'm Jason.
Yeah.
That's Zach. Dude, I want to start this off first.
Tell me.
Okay,
Get into the juice.
so uh, today is One Division episode 5.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. I've been meaning to buy Disney Plus and start watching that actually.
So episode 5 came out today.
Okay.
Do you mind if I spoil this for you?
Probably not.
Okay, so this episode was one of the first episodes where Vision's like, "Oh, something's going
He like
on."
knows what's going on, kind
He's
of.
like confronting Wanda and all this kind of shit, trying to
Okay.
figure out what's going on.
I saw some meme where it was like I don't remember what it was, but it showed the shit where he like had the crater in his forehead.
Yeah, it's his
Stone ripped
corpse.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they show footage of her stealing his body from like the shield, whatever.
Oh,
And the
okay.
very last moment of the episode, they are talking about because they have kids in the show, and the kids are aging up and stuff.
Hmm.
And
Are they
they,
fake kids?
uh, we, I don't know yet. We don't know what they are yet. We think
Interesting.
we're assuming they're magical.
Okay.
But the doorbell rings right in the middle of this heated conversation, and the door opens, and the camera goes back to the observation room, like outside of the force field. So
Hmm.
like all the people are watching the TV show as it's happening, and then you see the back camera shot of the person's head who's at the door, and then it cuts back to the front, and Wanda's like reacting kind of weird, and then it cuts to and it's Quicksilver,
Huh.
but it's
Okay.
not MCU Quicksilver.
Oh, it's not.
It's X-Men
Uh,
Quicksilver.
it's not Godzilla Boy, Aaron Taylor Johnson, whatever his
No,
name was.
it's Evan Peters Quicksilver. Wearing the 80s, like wearing his like not the silver jacket, but he's
Okay.
wearing the black leather jacket. He's wearing like the 80s
It's a
outfit he's
weird way to
wearing.
introduce the Fox mutant X-Men into this multiverse.
Yeah, and then it cuts back to the outside, and then what's her name? Darcy. What's the actress's name?
The one with the sword, the black girl.
No. The girl from Thor. The girl from Two Bro Girls. What's her name?
Oh, I don't remember what her name is, but I did see that she was in the
Yeah,
show.
she's
Yeah.
in the show. She plays the astrophysicist scientist in the show.
Okay.
So she
Yeah, the super sarcastic. She's like
yeah,
Aubrey Plaza light.
Cat
Basically.
Dennings. Cat Dennings.
Oh, okay.
And she says, "Oh, they recasted him." So I guess this is like the MCU opening up of the dimensions or whatever.
So wait. So I'm guessing you're probably thinking this or guessing this. This is their way of merging the
I don't
X-Men
I don't know.
with with Marvel MCU.
I don't know.
It seems like it. If so, it's really weird and feels almost ham-fisted. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess it's the easiest character to like
I mean, it would be the easiest. At least,
because they both because
she
they
has connection with it. Even
he,
though there's no Scarlet Witch in
well he
Fox.
was the one character that both of them had, so it's like it's the easiest character to do, I guess.
Yeah. But it also just feels weird that they're just like, they just plop it out there and they're like, yep, they're there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's
It was
interesting.
like when it's like what happened in the CW show when all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, the Justice League is like here. When they brought in fucking what's his face, the other Flash into the Flash show.
Yeah.
And they were just like,
Yeah.
plop, they're here. Like, yeah, Justice League
Yeah.
exists in this universe now.
I mean it's cool, I guess. I'm interested to see where they go with it.
I guess it all just depends on where they go with it. But I mean from the outset
If they like
it
just
seems like it could be lazy. I
if
don't
they
know.
just go, "Oh, here's the X-Men." I'm going to be like, "Okay,
That's incredibly disappointing.
that's just
if that's
bad." Yeah, I know. If Evan Peters is like, "Hey, I know some people." and the fucking like
I know some guys in some
what's
yellow
the
spandex. Hold on real quick.
what's the X-wing plane called? The X-jet.
God, does it have a name?
I think it's like the X-jet or some shit.
It's probably the X-Jet.
The airplane with the reverse wings that make no sense. And it's the blue one from the cartoon. Not even the fucking.
I mean, nothing could be worse than Wonder Woman 1984, where she just suddenly has the power to make things invisible. So.
But they're fighting. It's some teammate battle. At the end of the season of WandaVision, they're like fighting the character supposed to be the magic character, like this like bad girl or whatever. If he says, "Don't worry, I know some people," and he like presses a fucking 80s telephone and fucking Cyclops and fucking Psylocke like
and they bring
in.
the most character ever, Jean Grey, who always ruins X-Men.
Or if because remember Westview is the town. If this is where the fucking Xavier school's at, oh my god, it fucking because
that already makes me groan.
If the fucking Xavier School for the Gifted is like down the street from Wanda's house in this little town, New Jersey.
I already hate that.
Door opens.
That's probably not even what's gonna happen, but I already hate it.
I would have loved it though if in this scene of WandaVision where she opens the door, I would have loved the camera shot was from behind his head, so you couldn't tell who it was. You can just kind of tell his hair was silver. I love that if she opens the door and the camera's in the same angle, but you don't see anybody, and then she looks down, like her eyes go down, and then it cuts around and you fucking see James McAvoy in a fucking wheelchair.
That would be good.
That would be sick. And he'd be like, in the accent, like, "Wanda, I felt a disturbance or something. I found you with Cerebro."
Like he'll say some Professor Xavier shit.
Whoever they cast to be him, yeah.
I mean, I feel like you could just do James. I mean, as far as
he would do it
of the 3 or 4 rebooted X-Men movies I've seen, him and Michael Fassbender are always the best parts of those movies.
The problem is that it's 2027 in the MCU or whatever the fuck.
Oh, did they? Okay. All right, because the Endgame shit.
So you can't have Magneto be a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, that's weird. You can't have Michael. Well, you can't have it be Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, you can't. Well, even if it wasn't Michael Fassbender, you're like, okay. Mutation.
Well, it
I guess
James McAvoy either, because James McAvoy is 1980s.
He's too old. Yeah.
Unless they just like say fuck it and just like mash timelines together.
Yeah, you could. Well,
I mean that's what they did in the comics. They were just like, fuck it, we want like young X-Men. Just
it makes sense.
Say time travel. Who cares?
Well, no, it makes sense in this episode of WandaVision because Quicksilver was in the 80s for the X-Men movies, so he's in this episode of WandaVision, an 80s episode.
Okay.
Like an 80s sitcom, so it makes sense. So they thought about it clearly. I just don't know if I care.
Yeah.
Because Quicksilver to me is like the most boring X-Men character.
I mean, he's the most enjoyable part of the Fox movies, but he really just does one thing, which is just the slow-mo shit. And really, that was really only good in the
dining
Days
room.
of Future Past one. The Apocalypse one was kind of like, eh.
I guarantee next
episode... Did he even have one in Dark Phoenix? I never saw it.
I didn't see Dark Phoenix. Phoenix.
Well.
I guarantee, I 100% guarantee, I would, if I'm wrong, I'm going to quit the podcast. I guarantee that by the end of this season, Quicksilver is going to like be talking to fucking Wanda, and they're going to have different histories because they're different fucking people. And he's going to be like learning about it or whatever. And then he's going to be like, yeah, that reminds me of my friend who he's really pointy. Or something. He's going to reference Wolverine or some shit. Be like, yeah, I have a friend of mine who has metal claws, and another guy who really hates metal. He's my dad. And then she's going to be like, what? And he's going to be like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You'll figure it out.
You know, our dad, what? So it's going to be weird because they're... I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. That's strange.
That's... I had to bring it up first.
No, I got you.
At the
beginning. I mean, you know, big if true. So...
Well, Zach.
Yes.
What have you been up to, man, the last week?
Boom shakalaka! Honestly, not a whole lot of different things.
Okay.
Been watching the seasonal anime. I think I'm just gonna trickle out like one show that I watch a week because there's just so many.
Damn, but how many are you watching?
So the one I've been catching on this week that I've grown to like really like is the the isekai of the season, which apparently, as I'm learning more about it, it's apparently like the grandfather of all isekais, but it's only just getting adapted now.
Okay.
But it's called, what was it? It's like Jobless Reincarnation. But I really, really like it a lot. I mean, first of all, the animation for it is like gorgeous. Like it looks like movie quality, like every
Right.
episode. Like it's insane how good the show looks. And I really like. You can tell that it has a lot of tropes of like fantasy, like transported to another world shows.
Yeah.
You can tell that. You can either tell one that it created a lot of these tropes, or like gave people the ideas for them, or it just does a better job of them. Because I think a lot of things, especially with this show, is that it really does takes its time. It's taking its time with like setting up the character of who this guy is, and like not even just like who he is, but like his life before, and the fact that like he was really like a piece of shit. Like he's like not in
Oh.
like a bad way, but he's just like his whole thing in another life was like he was a shut in. Like his introduction, like the first show, is like he's masturbating in his room to hentai, and then he gets kicked out of his house.
Hold on. But is it hentai or is it just porn because it's already
Well, you
anime?
can't really tell. It's like a glance.
Well,
It's
no,
definitely
but
animated, so it's
wait.
hentai.
Here's my question. Like, okay, so he's watching anime porn, right?
Yeah,
But you're watching an anime, Zach. So to him, is it anime
that's true.
porn
It's
or
hard
is
to
it just
tell.
regular porn to him?
It could just be regular porn,
Yeah,
but he's
yeah.
jerking off anyways. But he gets kicked out. He gets kicked out of his house. He does the isekai thing where he like tries the same people. He gets run over. But I think the thing I really like about
He pulls a Yu Yu
that
Hakusho.
for him as a character is that first of all, you start with him like as a baby, and you're seeing him as like grow up as like we're only like 5 episodes in, and he's still like he's like a 10-year-old kid, and so it's all about like him like as a child in like with a grown man's mind, like learning the magic system and all that kind of stuff, learning like how the magic system works, like how if you can grow like more powerful as a sorcerer, and he figures out that like repetition and basically like depleting your mana basically gives you more mana. It's like, it's basically like exercising. Like the more you do to like work it out and like expand your like magical muscles, the more power you have behind it, the more stamina you have and that kind of thing. So I like that a lot. And I also like the fact that like his character is basically like, he's a shut-in, and he was also like, a fat chubby guy, and he was like bullied mercilessly in like his other world. Like they show a flashback where he's basically like he was stripped naked and like tied to like the fence on his school or whatever, and like people like took videos of him and stuff like that. And so like he's got that like trauma inside of him, and so like when he's a kid, he's got this thing where like he doesn't leave the house at all, like ever. And so it's like the first time it's like his magic teacher like takes him out and basically like straps him on a horse and like takes him out and basically makes him like confront his fear like of going to the outside world. So I really like that character growth, and he has like those flaws as a character to really grow from. I think it's a lot more interesting than like a lot of the generic transport to another world shows that are like out there kind of now, where they're really like paint by the numbers. You can tell that like I don't know if it's just like he's better at it or it's just because he's the first, but you can tell that like he takes his time to like draw the outline for like what other shows would like use and build upon.
Right.
So I'm really liking that a lot. That's like one of the big shows that's like been the surprise for me, because I'm usually just used to like seeing like trash isekai shows like every season. Like I watch them all because a lot of times that they have like funny bits to them, and if they don't, I usually don't watch them because there's usually so many that like I can't watch all of them. But there's usually one or two funny ones that I tend to watch, but this one is like it takes itself seriously, and I really enjoy it like as a show and as a story. Like I can tell that like I like this character, and I'm going to enjoy like going on this journey. And the director of the studio basically said that the studios that doing this was essentially created to animate this entire series. So you're going to get like this complete long arching story arc to it, and that's compelling to see that like it's not going to be like a 24 episode anime and like you'll never see it again. Like you're going to get this entire story as long as it keeps doing well. I suppose you're going to keep getting this story animated and brought to you. So
I do not see the appeal of these types of shows.
honestly, I think you would like this one because outside of the isekai part, this really just feels like a fantasy show.
Yeah, it just gives you the overpowered character like
Well, that's
explanation
the
from the
thing.
get
It's
go.
like I don't know. It kind of feels that like that at first, like he's overpowered, but like I think the overpoweredness of it is him being as an adult and being somebody from our world who understands like how fantasy works. I think he's able to like use that to try to like figure out the rules of a system a lot quicker. And so I think like because I think the biggest thing for him is like I think one of the things that like kind of showed it is like he really wasn't that powerful with magic at first, but through his repeated use of it, he's
Yeah,
able to
how
like
does he get to
grow his
this
power
world?
a lot more
What's
to
the
what
reason?
it should
What's the
be.
reason
What's the reason why?
that he goes from the real world to this fantasy world?
Oh, you got run by over by a truck.
No, no. What's the reason why
Oh,
he's
there's no
there?
reason. It's not like the other thing where it's like he gets sent by a god or whatever. It's just like, oh, he got hit by a truck and he got reincarnated. That's all. This is the Buddhist shit.
What? Into a whole different universe?
In a whole different universe where magic and swords and sorcery exists, man.
Yeah, that alone makes me like
You got some cute anime girls, which I always love.
Dunzo.
So
I'm right. I'm okay.
I don't know, dude. It's a fun time.
I want ugly anime girls. That's what I
What?
fucking want. Yeah, I want ugly
Uh,
anime girls. No, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. That's cool.
no, it's a fun time. Yeah, I'm liking that one a lot. So that's like the big spotlight for this season. But the only real other thing besides the anime that I've really been watching, and it's been taking up a lot of my time because I figured I think I just read manga slower than that. Well, before I get to that, actually, I guess we can talk about the thing that I think we both read, which was Ranger Reject, which I read the first chapter of, and I like it a lot. I like the concept a lot. I thought it was going to be. I only thought it was going to be from like the perspective of the Power Ranger characters. So I like the fact that I mean I've seen it before, which is like I think I've talked about it on this podcast before, but it gives me the same type of vibes as like Ratman.
Yep.
Where it's like, you know, because Ratman is the same type of thing. It's like it's a superhero world, and henshin characters exist basically, and like the main protagonist of the series is basically a henshin character, and this one kind of looks similar to that vein. I like the concept of like they're basically living the lie of like they're not really trying to take over the world. They just have to keep doing this so that the Power Rangers don't just, I guess, blow up their entire ship.
Yeah.
So I like that bit of it. Of like, I like the real world aspect of it is like basically they have to do a new episode of a tokusatsu show every week.
Mm-hmm.
So that bit's interesting to it, and I like the fact that it's going to take perspective of like the villain who wants to basically, you know, stop the lies and all this bullshit and like actually like take over the world for real, which I assume is just going to twist at some point where it's like the Power Ranger the bad guy or some shit. Because I mean, honestly, like outside of like the Red Ranger's costume, like they all kind of look like bad guys. Like the Green Ranger, I think they just labeled him as the Green Ranger, but like he's got this weird like shark mask that looks very villainous and stuff like that.
Well, they're all dragons. They're all dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But the Red Dragon just looks like a Red Ranger.
I like the fact that the part. I mean, I think it's a decent concept. Yeah. And I'll gladly read more. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. I liked a lot about it though was the parts where it cuts to because the main character is a henchman. He's not even a no. He's just a regular.
Well, that was the interesting part. Is basically all the high level bad guys are already dead.
Yeah,
so they have to keep faking that there are more higher level.
He's just a putty.
Yeah,
you know, he's a putty patroller.
Call them dusters.
I like the idea or the part of the chapter where they're like spitballing ideas, like and then they're like, what are we gonna do? Like, what can we create this week? Oh, okay, we did that 6 months ago.
Fact that with that, they see that you got like the Dragon Rangers or whatever, like gave them like reference materials. They're like, check out these animal books. Just like throw some shit together. Do a tiger.
I like the it was like, oh well, you know, in Japanese culture, there's the dragon, there's the lion or tiger or whatever.
It's the tiger.
And okay, but we need a gimmick though. Okay, he's a truck. He turns into a truck.
So he transforms into a truck.
And like it's stuff like that. That to me is such a good play on the toku genre, especially like the Sentai genre. That as someone who grew up on Sentai and someone who really likes that genre, someone who literally today pre-ordered the new complete Mighty Morphin box set because Netflix got rid of all Power Rangers.
Did they really? Shit.
Well, they got rid of.
Oh, I think it's because I don't know if it was necessarily them. I think because I think they're owned by the same company, right? But I saw that Kamen Rider has their own streaming service or something like that now, and I
Oh,
assume
I don't
that.
know. No, what it was that Saban and Hasbro, that's the people that do the toys, and Hasbro bought Saban, so they just pulled it off of Netflix, and they haven't said where they're going to put Power Rangers
Mm,
next. So the only thing on Netflix still is that the first season of Mighty Morphin, which is the first 60 episodes, and like a
mm-hmm.
couple of the new seasons, but everything else is gone. So at the
Damn.
same time, Shout Factory, who has released Power Rangers before on
Mm-hmm.
DVD, has released the Mighty Morphin box set like 3 times in different formats, like colors and stuff, and different
Mm.
packaging. They're just now re-releasing it again for March on
Is it
Amazon.
Blu-ray?
No, it's all DVD, but it's
Oh,
like $45 on Amazon.
that's not too bad.
Retails like $7. It's like, okay, I'm buying that now because I don't know where Power Rangers is gonna go next. I have no idea if it's gonna go to fucking Peacock or some bullshit.
Ugh.
Like WWE Network. WWE Network is going to Peacock.
WWE Network is.
Yeah, so
Wait,
they're
they got bought out by NBC,
no, they came to a deal, so they're gonna close the WWE Network, and it's gonna
and they're
be
just gonna put
as
everything on
part of
Peacock.
Peacock. Yeah.
But not even all of WWE stuff is on NBC. Like SmackDown's
No.
on Fox.
So they're putting it on Peacock, and they're gonna have it's gonna be the network
What are
on
they gonna do
Peacock.
for pay-per-views? Are they just gonna?
I didn't read
Because I
it.
don't think you pay for anything once you get Peacock. So
I didn't read anything except for the basic like first 3 sentences of the paragraph because I don't have network anymore. Um,
interesting.
I mean, and I don't really watch up to date pay per views, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
Except for the one thing that does matter is that All Elite Wrestling they're working with Impact, right?
Hmm.
I mentioned that before.
I saw that. I think a couple. It was like a month or so, right? Where they did like
They're
the
working.
collab match or
Kenny was
whatever.
going around and whatever, and
Yeah.
then some of the Bullet Club from Impact who used to be Bullet Club came over to AEW Dynamite and they did a little too sweet thing. And
Okay.
then last night or Wednesday,
I saw Wednesday something big happen where it was like
yeah.
it was
So
some
John Moxley,
Japanese wrestler
yep, John
came and
Moxley
helped out.
he's the U.S. heavyweight champion in New Japan, but he couldn't work and he couldn't do their match for the belt at all for the last 10 months
Wait,
or whatever.
he's the heavyweight champion in New Japan is?
Yeah, he's working in both companies.
Oh, I didn't know. Shit, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I mean that's his contract. Not everyone has that contract. That's his
Okay.
contract for him. Whatever.
Okay.
But the companies didn't have anything mutual. Didn't have any paperwork between the two companies. Just the wrestler had that in his pre-existing contract.
Right.
So he's the champion for the heavyweight belt and the U.S. heavyweight belt and New Japan. And they've been working on this fucking match for him for the last like year because he's a big name, but obviously COVID, so he couldn't work. And
Hmm.
people kept saying the contract that was that he couldn't wrestle New Japan or he couldn't wrestle anything besides AEW in stateside, something like that. So
Okay.
that's why they couldn't do anything, and that's why they kept having to like New Japan kept spinning their wheels, trying to like, okay, we're gonna do a tournament to get the right to challenge John Moxley at some point or whatever the fuck.
Hmm.
So Kenta, who's a famous Japanese wrestler,
Hmm.
he's the guy who invented the go to sleep, which is CM Punk's finisher. That
Yes.
fucking these that asshole still whatever. He attacked John Moxley on Dynamite. So that's officially like AEW and New Japan have a working relationship because their champion or their one of their guys who's a top guy came onto TV in America and fucking
Kenta's not from the Golden Duo, right?
that no that's Kota.
Okay.
And also New Japan
What is Kenta's? He's not Rainmaker, right?
that's Okada.
I just know nicknames. That's all I know.
Kenta is his name is just Kenta. He was
Okay.
had Hideo Itami in WWE for like 5 years, 4 years. He's a 2000s guy. He was in Pro Wrestling Noah before New Japan like years ago. He's like an OG Noah guy.
Okay.
Um, like he's a short guy, like 5'7", 5'8". He's a
Mhm.
kick guy, kicks and strikes and
Okay.
hard strong style. A lot of people stole his shit from Japan and
Yeah.
did it in America. A lot of
Mm.
like guys like CM Punk, for example, like a lot of CM Punk's move set is like straight up just Kenta move set, and you're like, dude, how the fuck are you gonna do that? Just rip him
It's
off.
disappointing. I really like CM Punk a lot too.
Yeah, he's like he started doing these like penalty kicks, like PKs,
Yeah.
where you're on the ground, the wrestler comes running at you and kicks you in the chest. everyone. I mean, it's a Japanese style move, so it's big in Japan. But like,
Mm.
he was one of the big guys in like the early 2000s who was like really kicking a lot, like super strong style again, and just American dudes like Ring of Honor just like nabbing that shit, like
Yeah.
taking that, which is fine. I guess that's how genres evolve. But officially, like there's some working relationship now, and then New Japan's gonna have a weekly 1 hour show on Roku. So they're
Huh.
branching out from being Japan only, having no commentary in English, to
They're trying to
having
do more global stuff.
well no, they go from that to having the network, New Japan Network, with commentary on the pay-per-views that are big, to
Okay.
now having that plus having an hourly TV show that you would assume would be English commentary, because their English commentary team is pretty stable.
Okay.
So now you have three wrestling companies who are all working together. It's
Yeah.
literally like the 80s for wrestling nerds if you like territory stuff.
Yeah.
All they have to do now is have one champion, and then that would be fucking sick.
Well, I saw some shit on Instagram, I think, where it was like, I think it's AEW match. But it was like Kenta and Omega versus Moxley and some other guy. I can't remember. I don't think it
Um,
was a championship match, but
if it was recently,
I think I saw it like a couple of days ago. Oh, my phone updated. I left it over there. I can't remember who the fourth guy was. Shit, who was it? I know it was like Moxley on one side, and then it was Omega and Kenta on the other side.
you sure it was Kenta?
It was the guy that showed up. He showed up on AEW Dynamite, and he had a
I
Bullet
don't
Club
know.
shirt on,
Maybe,
but it
maybe
wasn't Bullet Club. It said something else. I can't remember
yeah.
what it
Go to
said.
Sleep Club probably. I don't know.
I think so.
I haven't. I didn't. I haven't watched Dynamite in like 2 months.
I saw his shit where he like attacked John Moxley because that shit was
Yeah,
dope. He
I
did
saw
the
that.
outfit. He like came in like a hoodie and the mask and
Yeah,
everything. He
yeah,
like beat him up,
yeah.
took all his shit off, and I was like, oh shit, it's a dude.
Yeah,
I
I
recognized his
watched that.
face. I don't really know where, but I recognized it.
I saw that on Facebook. I watched that. Did you watch Christian in the Royal Rumble?
Christian,
Christian.
Christian WWE Christian,
Yeah, in the
Christian,
Royal
Christian with
Rumble.
Edge Christian,
Yeah,
WWE Royal Rumble.
yeah.
He's back.
So the Royal Rumble was last weekend.
Shit, it was last week. Oh my
Edge
god.
was entry number one, I think,
Oh,
and
that's terrible.
Edge won.
What?
But
That's crazy.
like later on, in the whatever number was, Christian's music pops
Somewhere
off.
high up.
Christian music pops off. He walks out. Captain Charisma.
Captain Charisma, man.
And at some point,
My
too,
peeps.
I didn't
My
watch the
peeps
full
at.
thing, so I don't know. But at some point, either before or after, I don't fucking know. I don't watch the Royal Rumble. I just watched his entrance.
That's up there with like John Cena returning.
Carlito came out.
What?
Yeah.
I spit in the face of
And
people who don't want to be cool.
He's fucking yoked up, bro.
Is he damn?
He's fucking,
Damn.
he's
he looks
fucking
like
beefed
fucking
up.
Carrot Top out here.
He's beefed
Damn.
up, dude. Like he was
Good.
like,
I think
yeah.
I remember. I think I remember. I was listening to something where it was like. I think it was. Oh shit! What's his name? What's the guy who like talks shit about Kenny Omega?
oh, Jim Cornette.
Jim Cornette. I think he was talking about Carlito, and he was like, Carlito's like got this. He's like, I think he was talking about Carlito at one time, and he was like, Carlito's got the juice, but he was just always so lazy. So like, if he's back and he's ready to work, like fuck you. I like Carlito a lot. He was one of the first ones that was like, when I really started watching WWE, it was around that time when like they were trying to push him really hard. So yeah, I liked him a lot. I mean, he basically has he really basically has Jericho's finisher, but he does the back. But
I never loved him, but I was super excited to see Christian. I love Christian, and because first off, his name is Jason, so there you go. But also because to me, of the two, Edge was the guy that everyone loved, and like Christian was like the guy that
I do love Edge.
To me, Christian was the guy that wrestlers really loved. And when he came out, everyone on Twitter was like, a lot of wrestlers were talking about how good he was and how good he is and how he's underrated. He's not in the Hall of Fame yet. He did it. He was never. Crazy. He had a compared to Edge in terms of championships. Like he didn't give him the belt that much.
No, I remember because I think I was watching it because I remember it was a big deal when it was like he finally got his like world heavyweight championship, and I think they did the shit where he lost it like
the following
he lost
show
it like
or
a week or some shit like that, and then they did his heel turn. But
he had a much better run in TNA, where he was the NWA champion. He had better matches in there. Him and Kurt Angle and him and AJ, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, much.
Where all my peeps at,
He's
man?
such a good wrestler, and he's only 5'11", so he's shorter than Edge by
What's
like.
his finisher called again? It's like electric something, isn't it? It's not the electric chair, because that's
I don't know.
Guerrero.
I don't know what his finisher's called.
Shit. I used to use it in fucking WWE, the WWE games all the time.
I don't even
It
remember.
looks so cool.
I
He
don't
like
even
flips
remember.
it around. He does the face plant. That shit's dope.
I know it's called like. I mean, I'm thinking of. I know the move.
Yeah.
But it's another
It
wrestler.
also seems it's one of those moves that like it looks cool, but like thinking about it, it's the dumbest fucking move ever. Where it makes no sense that you like are gonna have this person and somehow without fighting back, you're gonna twist them around and have them go face front.
Juice Robinson does it, and it's called. He calls it the pulp friction.
Mm.
But I don't know what Christian calls it.
I remember Christian had a better name for it. I know it was like electric something. Hold on, maybe my phone's. Give me a second. I know it's like electric something. Give me God.
I can just Google it.
It's gonna bother me. I know. I gotta Google it. It's gonna bother me.
I have it right now. The kill switch.
Kill switch. Why I say electric? I guess it sounds like electric chair. I don't know why. But yeah, I love this finisher. It's such a cool looking move. I mean, practically it makes no sense, but like, it's so dope.
Yeah, it's a terrible looking move.
It's also the one that I think is most prone to like fake outs, where it's so easy to be like, just have like the other wrestler be like, nah, fuck you. I don't want to have you do your finisher.
Yeah, it's a terrible looking move. I hate it, but it's also Edge's finisher shit too, so it doesn't matter.
Well, Edge's finisher is just like a regular move that they give more oomph to, which is basically, I mean, he doesn't have the same like gravitas, but it's like, Shawn Michaels was just a super kick that had more oomph to it.
No, the problem is that
simpler moves you could give more oomph to.
The problem is that if Edge is going to spear someone, you have to commit to the spear, but his spear always looks so weak.
Yeah, it doesn't really have the oomph of like, when Batista spears somebody, or when like Brock Lesnar or Goldberg spears somebody.
He just like jumps and like it looks terrible. It's a terrible finisher.
Yeah, I think it was around that era though, where it was like, because I mean, him and Randy Orton are like the same era ish.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I think that was the era where they were just like, you got to get one that's like quick, like don't get too much build up. Like the RKO, it's fast. Spear, it's fast.
I don't even think that, because when Edge and Christian came in, it was late 90s, so solid 4 or 5, 6 years before Randy got there. But so many wrestlers during the Attitude Era had slower, like the Pedigree is a slow finisher, dude. Like,
yeah, but
you have to build up to
that if you wanted to.
Yeah, if you want to break someone's neck, that shit takes time. Even when in a match, you have to like, he has to work up to it, because you can't. Who's gonna realistically let you put them between their knees? You know what I mean? So you have to like work it to where you're beating the person up. Switch in music, you just fucking throw that shit out there. You can throw it out. There's no reason you can throw it out there all the time.
Like RKO, you can just throw that shit out there and just let somebody fall to the ground. It's fine.
Yeah, but like, Christian's finisher, you can't just like, who's gonna fuck
no,
you,
that shit. I mean, yeah, that's the same degree as like Pedigree, where it's like you gotta build up.
It's not like fucking angle slam, where you can angle slam someone fast. You just run up there and fucking angle slam.
I think there's definitely there's two classes of finishers, which is just like ones you can just throw out there, and ones where it's like clearly supposed to have like more like theatrical gravitas to it. So
yeah. But what else have you been checking out, man?
The only thing I've really been checking out is a manga. I was telling you a little bit that I was reading a lot of manga. Right. And that's true in the sense that I was reading a lot. It was not true in the sense that I was reading a bunch of different manga. I've been chucking through one series, and I'm about... I think I'm like 160 chapters into the 249 that it has. So I'm like... I think I'm like 2/3 done. I'm a little over halfway. No, not halfway. I'm more than halfway. I guess it's like 2/3. It's got like 90. I've got like 90 chapters or something left to get through. But I've been reading. I faked you out because I told you I wanted to read Monster, and I do, but I didn't start reading that. Mm-hmm. I read his other work, 20th Century Boys.
Yep.
Um, goddamn, dude, this is a fucking good ass story.
Yeah, it's my
It takes a long time to like. It took me a while to get into it. I think it took me like 10 to 20 chapters to like really get to the point where it was like I want to read the next one. But like, goddamn, dude, like once it hooks you, it fucking hooks you.
yeah. No, it's my favorite of his work. And I really
It's
like his
got
other
so many
stuff.
influences of so many other things in it too.
Well, I think about Urasawa that is so good is that um, one, his art is super clean. Like it's such a
I like
unique
it a lot.
style. And all his work is really original.
Hmm.
So Monsters original, 20th Century Boys is original. Master Keaton, which I know he didn't create by himself, that's original.
Yeah.
His sequel, the series he does after Monster, which I think is called Billy Bat, I think, that's
Yeah, I
super
was reading a little
original.
bit of. I was reading like the summary of that one. I was like, oh, that's an original kind of concept.
His newest one that he's working on is like everything he does is super duper original.
Yeah.
And the art is super good too. So I enjoy a lot most of everything he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. I left off on the I was buying the I think I told you I was
I
buying
saw
the
that they have the perfect editions coming out, and it was like I wanted to buy the first volume, and I can't find it anywhere.
yeah I have the first four
Okay.
and
I know
I
they're
just
up
stopped
to
buying them.
11 now,
Yeah, I just stopped buying them for some reason. I think I just got
which I think is
sidetracked.
like there's only going to be like 11 or 12 because I know that the perfect editions, from what I read, basically involve they combine two
Yeah, I have two
volumes
volumes.
into each edition. And I think there's only like 22 volumes or something like that. So it's like, yeah,
Oh,
it's 11 or 12
I
perfect
lied.
editions. Is like all.
My favorite of his work is Pluto.
I haven't heard that.
That's my favorite. It's based on a story by Tezuka, which is the Japanese Disney pretty much
Mm.
Godfather manga. It's
Mm.
basically you would love it. It's Pluto. I don't know how much of the story or script or premise that is actually Tezuka's premise, but it's a murder mystery manga,
Okay.
which is Urasawa's good at.
Yeah.
It's about the futuristic world where a bunch of androids. This world, androids exist and they live with humans, whatever.
Okay.
A bunch of these androids are being murdered. Like the world's most famous androids or robots are being killed.
Huh.
And so this company like Europol or Interpol, basically like that company,
Yeah.
sends a German robot who's a investigator to go find out who is killing these robots.
Okay.
And I think it's like an adult version of like Astro Boy or something like that. Where
Interesting.
ultimately Astro Boy is gonna the equivalent of Astro Boy is in it somewhere. I think something like I
Okay.
can't remember exactly that the correlation between Astro Boy because I haven't read it in like a long time. I just really remember the first half of the manga where the main character, who's the German robot, is like traveling around the world, like flying on his boots to like go
Interesting.
investigate homicide scenes of robots.
Okay.
And it's a really good, really good. At least the first half is good. The second half I can't remember.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, and then I don't know how much Monster does with this too, but I think he really likes to play with like halves and like specifically with this one, he likes to play a lot with like time and the conception of time. And I mean, especially with this one, it gave me super big. Obviously, he wasn't. Well, maybe he was influenced by this first one, but it gave me super big like it and Stranger Things vibes, specifically with all the stuff with like Kenji and Oda-chan and Yoshitsune and all them as like kids and whatnot, and like how that like what they did as kids and like what they thought of and like what they imagined, like how those consequences and those ripples like further out to like this fucking grand conspiracy that takes place in like 2000 and then also in 2015 with like all based around this like childhood daydreams and whatnot and like how that affects them and like it and the Stranger Things stuff is just like the fact that they're kids and like I
Yeah,
mean it takes around like I mean, not a similar time because it's like the 70s as compared to like the 80s, but I mean, it's, similar vibes is like, it's them as like, biking around kids, like getting into some dumb shit and then, um, seeing how, what they do as kids and whatnot. And especially like where I'm at right now in the manga, like 160 is like they're going back into like the virtual attraction or whatever. And so they're like reliving the past a lot and like a lot of those revelations and like stuff that is built up, stuff that's like, I don't know how much he's, this is really like the first of his works really that like I've ever really like read or watched or anything like that, but like he seems to have that ability to like, you can tell that he plans out his shit a lot.
Oh yeah.
You can tell he has like a huge major outline. He does that shit where he's foreshadowing stuff in like chapter like 20 that is only just now being paid off in like chapter like 160.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's literally like, I think it was like 5 chapters ago that was like, it was like the thing where they tint on the fact that like Donkey went to the science room, and it was like Donkey like saw something in the science room and like made him like jump out the window, and everybody was like, what the fuck happened? Like he saw a ghost. And then they have the blurb that they've touched on it multiple times where it's like, whatever he saw in that science room, we wouldn't learn what it was until it's too late. And then you figure it out, and it's like, fuck, dude, this like changes everything. This changes everything, literally everything. And then it's also like not even the fact of like what happened, but then there's like present day shit that's interfering with like the revelations in the past that is also changing the entire fucking story once again. Where you think friend is dead, but he's not dead because there's another friend. Shit's blowing my mind, dude. I can't wait to finish this. It's so good. It's so intriguing and captures my attention so much more than like I thought it would. Like, I've heard like, I think you might have mentioned it before, and I know that like Gaunt and Joey and them like on Trash Taste have mentioned it a bunch of like, specifically in the latest episode, just one of the ones that got me wanting to read it because they were talking about this in Monster, where it was just like it's one of those stories where if you tried to adapt it into an anime, I feel like it would be like, it would be inadequate to the manga. Just the amount of, unless you made it like, unless you were like, all right, guys, as far as selling it, like, we're going to need a bunch of episodes to do this justice.
Yeah.
So, and I really don't think any shows really get that anymore besides like shonen shows.
Probably, yeah.
But goddamn, dude, I'm having such a fun time reading it.
Yeah, it's great.
I get excited just like thinking about it, talking about it. It's so good.
It is. It's
so
really good.
I want to buy the perfect editions now.
The back
like
half,
even more than I did before, where like I just wanted to read it. Now like I enjoy it so much that like I want to have them because I know at some point I'll read it again.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Anything
yeah,
else,
that's it. That's really the only other thing I've been doing. So what have you been checking out?
Is this true?
I got a couple things.
This man has no dick.
So I'll start off with this. I'm in the discovery mood. So I've been
Star Trek Discovery?
No, definitely
good. Thank God.
I've been wanting to figure out. I've had a question in my mind for years, decades probably.
Okay.
In the 2 decades that I've been alive.
2.5.
Yeah, almost 3.
Almost 3.
My birthday's in like next week.
Questions are good. Questions are,
Yeah. So I've been. It's something that's been around since 1985, and I hear so much about it. I see so much about it. We all know the character's name, and I always wanted to figure out why people like it, and I wanted to see what the jazz was about. So I went and I watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
You know what? I've never seen Pee-wee's either.
So, we're too young to have any reason to have watched Pee-wee's Playhouse because the early 90s when it ended. And Pee-wee's Big Adventure obviously is a Tim Burton movie from 1985. So unless you had friends or family or a reason why you, as a child, you'd watch this movie, like if you were our age, there is no reason for you to really, unless you discover it later in life or whatever the fuck, or you saw it on TV or something, I don't know. Right? Because we had Barney, we had that kind of shit. We didn't have this.
Barney.
It wasn't like Mr. Rogers, who was still going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's why we know Mr. Rogers, because he was still doing shit when we were kids and all that kind of. We would see reruns of the racism stuff and the Vietnam, all that kind of stuff. But Pee-wee was not that. But all we know about Pee-wee, generally speaking, unless you were introduced to it from a reason, is that
all I know is that
jerked off in a movie theater.
Adventure is apparently a really good movie.
And also he got arrested for jerking off in a movie theater. That's all we know.
And then he has the PSA where he talks about crack cocaine.
So I want to understand, because I'm in a lot of Facebook toy groups or retro groups or physical media groups of people who are 40 years old. who
Okay.
did grow up with this fucking character, and they fucking sing praises about this fucking thing.
Okay.
It's like, okay, I know Adult Swim used to play Pee Wee's Playhouse all the time because people liked it.
That was the other thing that I didn't understand. So it's like, because I know that everybody talks about Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and they talk about the fact that it's like, it's really more adult than it would seem. Is the show also like that?
I think they're both. It's a kids thing, but there's also a ton of adult shit.
There's a lot more. It seems like it has a lot more like adult.
It's innuendo and stuff like that. Yeah.
Adult, yeah, innuendos and stuff like that than like the typical kid show.
So I went into this thing knowing two things about Pee Wee: hate his voice.
Yeah,
and
his voice.
That's I hate. I was gonna probably hate the character.
I know Big Bertha. I
I don't know who that is.
Something Bertha. It's
So
in the movie.
So I watched the movie. She's not in the movie.
Okay.
At least, not that I know the character's name. Maybe I missed the character's name. I don't know. But the whole point of the movie is this. And it's Tim Burton's first movie. And I really don't really care about Tim Burton.
Is it really?
It's Tim Burton's first movie.
Wow.
And it's about Pee Wee, who lives in this fucking stupid ass house.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a stupid ass fucking character. And he's annoying as shit. And his fancy bike that he keeps in this. The movie's actually kind of fun. There's like funny parts of the movie that. Okay, so he loses his bike, gets stolen, and his big adventure is that he is trying to find who stole his bike, and he travels across the country to find this fucking bike.
It's Joe Manganiello.
And it's like his. So
his next door neighbor or some shit.
Yeah, it's like a rich next door neighbor who's another adult fat guy, who's like 40 years old, but he's rich and he's still also a child. He's like, hey, it's my birthday coming up. My dad said I can have whatever I want, and I want your bike. And he pulls out a wad of cash, and Pee Wee's like, no, you can't have my bicycle on the ground, like laughing, like whatever. And he rides out on his bike's a fancy looking bike. There's like fucking gizmos on it with all kind of stuff. Yeah. And he goes to a bike shop in like downtown and like locks it up and wraps it around this fucking like inflatable mannequin like advertisement thing. He like locks it up. He comes out and then the fucking bike's stolen. And that's the whole movie, is him trying to find the fucking bike. And it's just him traveling and meeting people and being Pee Wee Herman. I don't care. I finished the movie and I was like, how are there two more of these things in a fucking show?
Is there two more?
There's
two. The only
more
one I
movies.
know is the one that came out on Netflix.
There's one between that.
I did not know that.
There's one in 88 called Big Top Pee Wee. And then there's the Pee Wee's Playhouse, which is the show. So right. I did not hate this movie. It was not a bad movie. It's weird, but it's not like anything different. It's not anything different from Tim Burton. The character is really annoying, but he has that anime thing where like there's his love interest character who's a girl at the bike shop, and it's Tommy Pickles. Is the actress
like the voice?
It's the actress. Her name's Dottie.
Does she
the character.
Screwdriver out of her pants?
No, I forgot her name's like EJ or EL something. The actress's name, and she's good. She's really good in the movie, but she like is really into him. And he's like, nah, I'm not about it. Until the very end of the movie. Until the very end of the movie. Until the very end, and eventually he like still kind of whatever.
I'm not about it. I'm all about jerking off in the theaters. So.
Yeah, and he's so focused on finding a stupid ass bike. So at the end of the movie, I'm spoiling it because it's fucking who cares.
It's fine.
At the end of the movie, he has to steal his bike back from Warner Brothers or something like that because it's a Warner Brothers. Some studio. Whoever.
So he gets some meta shit.
So the bike gets taken to this film lot, and they're using it in the film set. So he steals it back from the film set. And he's being chased by the film crew because he stole property.
Okay.
But while he's running away, he comes across a burning pet store and stops and then saves all the pets from the pet store from dying. And he gets in trouble. He's like, okay, you know what? We're not going to charge you for anything or whatever, and give you your bike back. And because you helped these animals, whatever. Right? So at the end of the movie, he's at the drive-in and he meets all the people that are there throughout the movie he's met on his journey. They're all at the drive-in with him because they made a movie about him and his bike. And it cuts to the movie screen and it's Josh Brolin's dad as like a James Bond character, and he's like has a motorcycle. It looks like his bike. That was the best part of the movie.
Interesting.
Other than that,
Oh, the Big Bertha character I think is in this movie. The trucker lady that picks him up when he's like trying to go.
okay, gotcha. Okay,
He like transforms into some weird demon
yeah.
face or
Yes,
something.
yes. There's her. There's the lady who works at a restaurant who wants to go to Paris. There's a bunch of biker gang members. There's a guy he meets who's like a escaped convict.
Okay.
It's
weird.
When I read it and I was like looking up, should I watch this movie? And there was a post like from like a year ago from a British guy, and like on Reddit, he said, "Hey, I'm British. Can you guys please explain to me Pee Wee Herman? Like, is it American humor or whatever?" And I'm scrolling through the comments, and then some guy posts, "Hey, explain Monty Python to me." Like, I'm like, okay, I gotcha. It's the same shit. Like, it's like, I think you really had to be there in 1985 as a child to really think.
Probably.
Because the movie's it's charming, I guess, if you like annoying ass characters, but it's not for me.
Probably the same people who like SpongeBob.
Oh my god, SpongeBob is the equivalent probably of like fucking this guy.
SpongeBob's a super annoying character.
Yeah, the same laugh too, the same fucking shit laugh. Yeah, that's probably the equivalent. So I watched Pee Wee Big Adventure, and it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's fine. It's directed fine. It's written fine. The acting is fine. It's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't watch anything else from that
man,
character.
Not every movie's for everybody, man.
Yeah, that wasn't it. But a movie that was for me.
Tell me.
Was a movie that I haven't seen ever, and it's surprising because I thought I would have watched it by now, but I haven't. 1984. Because I avoid this studio like the plague.
Sony.
Trauma. I decided to watch for the first time ever because I wanted to buy some of the action figures based on the cartoon that's based on this movie, The Toxic Avenger.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So I've never seen it before, but I know what it's about. Obviously, I know what it's about.
I only know the kill that happens in it, which is the guy that gets killed by the weights.
Yeah. So I know the premise. I know a lot of the big kills in it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see the movie finally because Super 7 made, because there was a cartoon in the 90s based on the show.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Or based on the movie. So what happened was, I guess Troma was like, hey, the movies aren't going anywhere. We need a new audience. So they took like they did with RoboCop.
To make a children's show.
So the same thing that they did with Rambo and RoboCop, which was take this fucking gruesome ass character, and we're going to change it up and make it children. So the Toxic Crusaders was about Toxic Avenger and his bros, and they're in the 90s, so they're fighting against pollution, right?
Okay.
So they're cleaning up the city and stuff.
A worse version of Captain Planet?
It's like better than Captain Planet because
So
I'm watching
that's mighty big words, dude. Captain Planet.
Yeah, I'm watching the animations, and the cartoon was like, is animated pretty cool. The characters, I'm looking at the original toys. They all look fucking sick. They're all super colorful. And the Super 7 remake of the old Toxic Crusader character, it looks fucking rad. So I'm probably gonna buy it.
Okay.
But so I wanted to watch the movie for finally see it. I've never seen it before, and I avoid Trauma because I don't care for the purpose of the company, which is like they make what they want, and I respect the fuck out of that. And they make what they want, and they do it themselves. And I respect the shit out because that's even in 2021 when theaters are dying, they're still doing what they want to do, and they're successful as shit because they don't rely on anyone else. And I respect the fuck out of that. I don't care about shock factor for the sake of shock factor, which to me a lot of trauma movies are, at least from, like look, I've seen the big trauma movies, specifically James Gunn's Romeo and Juliet. Hated it. People like these people really like that brand of like black comedy, which I'm fine with. The shock stuff, the gore. I don't necessarily love that stuff, but this movie is not a horror movie, but I know that it's gonna have the elements of trauma that make it a trauma movie, and it 100% does. But with that being said, I really like this movie for what it is.
Okay.
It's fun, but at the same time, it's super like, it's a trauma movie, so it's like super like,
Yeah.
it's trash, but it's a good movie. Like there's a scene where there's the main character's like a typical like nerd character who gets bullied or whatever. Um, so he's getting revenge on the people who like he's saving the town from bad guys.
Hmm.
And it so happens that one of the people that bullied him into becoming this shitty character or this no monstrosity character is also one of the shitty people who are. It's just these girls and these guys who are going around and doing hit and runs for fun. And there's a
Mm.
scene where they kill a little boy in a car. They kill him. They run over his head. So they kill him, run over his head, and they do the classic like 80s prop of the head, and they fucking like a watermelon or whatever the fuck.
Hmm.
And the girls get out of the car and take pictures of his dead body. And there's a scene where she's in a sauna, and she's like masturbating to the pictures of the dead body of the kid, right? So like
That's a little too
it's
out there.
stuff like that where I'm like, okay, this is straight up. This is Tromaville, which is where the town they live in. This is like all trauma style shit, and like it doesn't bother me, but at the same time, I'm like, you don't need that particularly.
It's a little too weird.
But they pushed that line, and even in '84, I guess they had probably like whatever. But um, it's a fun movie. I think you should watch it once, Zach, to see if you
Okay.
dig it. It's super gory. The effects are great.
I
It,
saw. I mean, that one effect that I saw of him
yeah,
smashing that guy's head with the weights looks. That head
yeah.
looks great, although
It
it's a comically fake mustache that is still attached to his
yeah,
head.
it's super goofy and gory, and like it's surprisingly like really funny.
Hmm.
Like there's a lot of like really hidden like not in your face jokes that are there that are pretty funny.
Okay.
But I definitely want to watch it like with my girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't do that. There's a lot of boobs in it, obviously, because it's like a
Mm,
B movie. But
right.
I enjoyed it. There's three more.
I didn't know there was three more.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna watch the other three. I might
Yeah.
just skip and watch the cartoon.
Feels
Um,
like that's a one and done kind of situation.
yeah, from what I read online, that the first one's good and the fourth one are good. Two and three are worth skipping. So I might skip two and three and watch four, and then go watch the cartoon. But also, what am I gonna do with my life? I might as well just watch fucking. I've watched John Claude Van Damme movies in mass. Why can't I watch Toxic Avenger? Four of
Jean
them.
Claude Van Damme movies are fun.
Yeah, and this movie's fun too. It's fun
Yeah.
too. It's so fucking dumb. It's such a stupid ass movie, dude. So he's like a goofy ass, skinny, like punk ass kid.
Yeah, he's like the Revenge of the Nerds type
Yeah,
kid.
and then he gets turned to the big guy. He's not even that fucking big. He's not even that big. He's like he's not even
It feels like most of the time he's just like falling apart.
he's not even that big of a guy. But then his voice his voice changes too. It's like a fucking like he goes from being this like twerp ass kid to like the monster character. But then he has like a sultry voice. Like it makes no fucking sense.
Huh.
And there's one scene where a taco shop's being robbed by these three guys, and
Fuck.
there's a blind girl who ends up being his girlfriend, and they kill her
That
dog,
makes sense.
and they show him like killing the dog, and the dog like they shoot the dog with a shotgun, and the dog like flies away across the floor and all that kind of stuff. So he kills all of them, but he every time him and his girlfriend who's blind are like walking together or whatever, she'll like accidentally hit him in the balls like seven times, like with a cane or something or whatever. And like, there's like these stupid ass goofs that are in the movie that make
That's pretty interesting.
it's such a weird like dichotomy from like going from like this like super gory murder like of but he's a good guy, so like you're like less like weirded out because he's a good guy, and the bad guys are pretty bad, but you go from like this like
I mean,
super
they shot the puppy. I mean, John
yeah
Wick killed He killed like an entire city worth of people for
yeah
less.
but it
So
goes from like these like funny goofy ass goofs to like the super violent like gore, and you're like, dude, what the fuck is this movie? What is this movie? And that's why I can't watch any more trauma movies.
mm,
Because I don't mind gore, if it's tasteful, generally speaking. But there's like RoboCop gore, I'm fine with because it serves the purpose of the robot revenge movie. But this movie, you're like, you're just doing it to fucking do it. And you know what? Hey, that exists for some people, but doesn't exist for me. So, the last thing I want to mention before we move on.
Okay.
After Toxic Avenger. So,
Okay.
earlier in the week, this is not a movie thing. Earlier in the week, my girlfriend told me that she bought something off Walmart.com.
Shit.
And she goes, hey, I bought this and I use PayPal to buy it. And I can pay in 4. PayPal has this new thing where you can pay in 4. And I was like, wait, you mean like PayPal credit card? Because you used to be able to
split it?
Yeah, you used to be like, you used to be able to do PayPal credit and you can just pay it off whenever you want. She's like, no. It's like they have no interest rate. You just pay it in 4 separate payments. I go, okay, really? Like kind of like a firm. Klarna has that. A firm has that pay in 4. So I Google it. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm at work one day, like 2 days later after that conversation, and I'm like Googling it. I go, oh man, yeah, it exists. Brand new PayPal pay in 4. No interest rate. Just pay in 4 separate payments or whatever.
Huh.
Okay, cool. That's bad for shopping for me, but all right. So I'm like, okay, cool. What can I do? Certain places have it. You have to be able to. It has to be approved by the company or whatever, the business, to be able to do this, right?
Okay.
So I'm browsing through BigBadToyStore.com, which is my favorite
Which
toy
allows
store.
it, I'm guessing.
No, it doesn't, and you'll find out what happens.
Huh.
So I'm scrolling through Big Bad Toy Store because it's my birthday next week. I'm like, I got some cash in my pocket, right? It's my birthday. Also, it's tax season coming up, so I got some tax cash money coming in. I'm expecting. I got birthday money coming in as well. So I'm looking around BigBadToyStore.com looking for new shit. And there's a fig that I've been wanting for a while, and it's an expensive fig. Well, there's multiple figs I've been expecting, but this is one particular fig on the lower end of the price range that I've been putting off. And it's called it's from the company 3-0, which makes like a lot of 1/6 scale 12-inch figures. And they have a relatively new, probably last 6 months, 7 months, 3-0 6 scale John J. Rambo 3. And it looks fucking sick, right? And Big Bad Toy Store had it on sale for like $188. I go,
not too bad.
Oh, you know what? Dude, split that shit into 4 payments? No big deal. Add to cart. I already have an account. Obviously, I have a lot of orders from Big Bad Toy Store. Add to cart. PayPal. Here we go. Confirm. Order submitted. I'm like, okay, hold on. Excuse me?
Excuse me?
Usually what happens is it takes you to PayPal, and then you can fuck around with your shit. You know what I mean? You can fuck around with your address or card or whatever. Like if you go to eBay, it pops up with your window and tells you what to do. Big Bad Toy Store didn't do that. Huh. So I get another notification on my phone from PayPal being like, hey, you authorized a payment for $210 to Big Bad Toy Store. I go, oh, shit, okay.
First of all, $210? I thought it was supposed to be $188.
Tax and shipping, baby.
Well, damn.
So I'm like, okay, shit. So I go to my account tab to see if I can cancel this because it's still new. Maybe I can just cancel it.
Yeah.
Can't cancel it. It says processing. I go to the FAQ. When it's processing, sometimes you can't cancel it. You have to wait till it's after. I go, okay, all right, fine. So I email customer support. Hey, here's what happened. I found a new PayPal thing. I was trying to see if y'all had it. Y'all don't, clearly. So I just need to refund this fig, whatever. I don't hear shit back until the next morning.
All right.
Hey, very polite email. Hey, we're so sorry for the inconvenience. It's already been shipped. But if you want, you can return it when you get it unopened and just get a refund within 30 days. So it comes tomorrow. It's supposed to come today, but it's been delayed. Okay. It comes tomorrow, but I did my taxes today. And your boy's getting some cash money.
All right.
Right? Because I have a full-time...
So I guess the dilemma is, do you keep it or do you return it?
Well, it's not even a dilemma anymore because I'm going to keep it.
It's not?
No.
Wait, this whole story was to no dilemma? You're just going to keep it?
This whole story was to tell you that, first off, don't pay in for a Big Bad Toy Store because they don't have it. But two, it was an accidental $200 purchase that I'm going to keep probably.
I'm going to have to remind you that this reminds me that my $200 purchase, I remember I told you about this a long time ago, but it did finally come in.
Okay.
Give me a sec.
Yeah. I'm excited to see this fig.
She did come in. I haven't opened her yet because I haven't figured out where I'm gonna put her.
Uh-huh.
But she did come in, which is my Fate Grand Order, Anastasia Romanov.
I can't see shit, dude.
Pastor, hold on. Give me a sec.
The cellophane is super
Yeah, the cellophane's really
reflective.
bad.
Is there a picture on the back of the box?
Oh, there is.
To show the back of the box. Yeah, we have very distinct differences in flavor of fig.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely like that. My anime waifus. You know what I'm saying?
How much?
Look, man, I got John Wick over there. I got some big boys. I got some Dragon Ball Z or whatnot. But for this one, I mean, she's one of my favorite characters in Fate, and I think I told you about, because this was around the time last year where I'd gotten my tax return money.
Yeah.
I'd seen that big payment come in, and I was like, I had never bought a fig over $200 before,
Yeah.
but I'm about to start.
Yeah.
And she was my first one, and I'm glad she finally
Did you
came
get
in.
the guy too?
No, not the guy too. Just her. I don't really like the guy that much, honestly. His character's like kind of shit.
Man.
But I like her a lot.
Sick, dude. Yeah, put that shit.
I think
Post it up
she's great.
somewhere.
Yeah, and then I've got my second one. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I did buy a second fig that was like $200.
Uh-huh.
I think that's like coming until March though.
Damn.
That's based off a ReZero character who's like
Pre-order.
She's like my new waifu. Oh my god, I can't wait for her.
Two girls.
Two girls. She's
Bro.
1/7 scale though, also, which is nice.
Bro, fucking two chicks.
Dude, she's good. She's my Russian princess. Dude.
I got you topped again.
Oh, you got me topped again?
Yeah.
Shit.
So
I just laid that out on the table for you.
Yeah, I got you topped, baby, today.
Damn,
so
son,
after
right.
I
wait, did you buy Val Kilmer?
No, I'm going to.
Okay.
So after I'll get to that too if you want. But after I came to the conclusion that I'm gonna keep John Jay,
Mm-hmm.
After I finished my taxes, because I got a lot of different tax breaks because of my gig.
Yes.
Also, because I'm in school, so I have a lot of extra little bonuses. Right.
Okay.
I'm getting back more than I've ever gotten before, ever.
Okay.
As a full-time adult, it's insane because of college tuition, right? They're like, hey, by the way, hey, what's up? You're a full-time job and you're in full-time school. Okay, we'll give you more money back because you're gonna pay it back soon, bitch. So I was like, the first thing I've been waiting to do this, and if I had my girlfriend here, she can tell you how many times I've asked her if I should do this or not. Blitzway, like 6 months ago, put up pre-orders for the 1/6 scale, 2 figs combo pack, Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure.
Shit, dude.
$400.
Fuck.
So
all right.
Now they were being released through Sideshow, so you have payment plans, right?
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get back this cash money in a couple weeks.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a payment plan right now. Start it off, so I have mine reserved because they've been releasing already. People have already had them for the last month and a half.
Damn. All right.
So they're in stock now.
Yeah, it's a little late to the game.
So I put the payment plan. I put that deposit down, the $50, right? So $400 left or whatever for shipping. But once the government gives my money back,
oh, you're just gonna pay it all off?
Gonna pay that shit off.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why you can do the payment plan?
And I'm gonna have fucking right here. Here we go. You see him right there.
Right next to the boys, man.
The biggest problem is I learned this from talking to people online who are big into hot toys and big into these 6 scale collectibles that are expensive. Mm-hmm. Like this Batman Forever coming out.
Yeah.
The Kilmer and whatever his name is, Chris whatever. O'Donnell.
Chris O'Donnell.
No, Hot Toys, Batman Forever figures.
Yeah.
$250 each, I think. $250, $245.
That's crazy.
So on a monthly payment plan, you're paying like $50 each month or something, or $80 each, depending on how many.
Is there a set like amount of months that you can have a payment plan go over?
There's different numbers, so you can do like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I think 5 months is the max for most of them. There's but hold on. So I'm gonna get those probably, right? Okay. Depending, and just paying them off right away. But from what I've learned talking to people who are more experienced in the Hot Toys game, because I don't have any. I have one on pre-order that's Ahsoka, right? Mm-hmm. is that they say never go backwards in hot toys because they're always going to be overpriced. Just go forward, right? So for me,
Never try to buy old Hot Toys.
right. So for me, my biggest regret in collecting ever, straight up, just any toy collecting at all.
Okay.
I've sold my collection a lot of times. I sold it recently. I used to have a lot of this NECA shit. I sold all my stuff, right? My biggest regret is that 7 years ago or whatever, 6 years ago, when they released the initial Back to the Future Hot Toys Marty McFly, and it was retail at Big Bad Toy Store for like $220. I added it to my cart and deleted it from my cart like 7 or 8 times over the course of like 3 months, 4 months, right? And never got it. Didn't get the Marty 2 that came out eventually. Didn't get the Doc from 2 eventually. So now I'm looking back trying to find me a Marty 1 hot toy, and it goes for like $450.
God damn, dude.
Now I can justify spending $400 for Bill and Ted. But for me to spend, now it's my favorite movie of all time. I have a tattoo on my arm of Back to the Future, right? So I love Back to the Future. It's my favorite character of all time. But $450 for one fig.
For $450 for one, when you know it's actually worth like $250.
Yeah, it was actually worth like $150 for the fucking Asian boy who had to make it.
That's true.
It's probably worth like $50, really.
Well, it's probably worth like 50, yeah, because you know 3 Asian kids had to die.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the dilemma.
Or does that increase the price? The more kids that die making it, does that increase the price?
I think it depends on who you are. I think it depends on how you view it.
I guess it depends on your morality.
Right. I think yes. Because if you're my people, yellow skinned, I want the most blood. My blood figs.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, I want the blood figs. Blood diamonds, no. Blood figs.
Blood figs.
So I got the pre-order for Bill and Ted, and I'm very excited for it.
Okay.
And then I might do Batman and Robin.
Okay.
We'll see. That's a lot of money.
I'm gonna be honest, man. It's like I've looked at Big Bad Toy Store before, and it's like their prices are always just like they always really just make me go, whoo, whoo.
Well, the prices are normal. They're a little inflated for certain things.
Like I guess the thing is that normally when I look at figs, I usually don't look at like that scale. I guess because for that scale, it's usually like around like $200 or somewhere around there.
But I think the big thing too is that if you're looking at anime figs in general are expensive.
Yeah.
Like
good quality ones. Yeah.
Anime figs are super fucking expensive because one, they're imported. There's that. Yeah. But two, they just overprice the shit out of anime figs.
Well, because they know weeaboos will pay for it. So
exactly. You know, and it's ridiculous. So that's my fig update for the fucking podcast.
That was my fig update for the podcast too. So
even though I'm still on the hunt for a lot of figs, man. Because I sold my collection pretty much the last few months, so I'm trying to buy back some of my shit. I've been buying a lot of records recently, so I've been trying to half that record collection buying my figs again.
I gotcha.
So that's that, and I don't got anything else to talk about, dude.
Yeah, I don't really either. I mean, I bought some manga, but I haven't really started any of them yet because I've been trying to dig through 20th Century Boys. So I'll probably talk about them next week because I figure I'll probably finish 20th Century Boy either like today or tomorrow.
Okay.
So
hell yeah.
But yeah. So Jason, that means it's time for us to dig into our main topic, and this week it's February, shorter month. Gonna be a banger month. We got a big topic coming up, which is. Did we ever figure out the exact phrasing for this?
No.
Are we doing vampire movies or are we doing vampire hunters?
I think honestly the second one makes more sense right now.
I feel like vampire hunters is more like what we were aiming towards.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with just going like we're doing vampire hunter movies. But in that vein, we started off with goddamn dude, I love this movie a lot. We started off with I don't know what year it was made out, but Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. Technically the sequel. Right. That's cool. But really you can watch it without knowing any previous Vampire Hunter D stuff. Because I didn't know anything outside of like a basic knowledge. And Goddamn, dude, this movie is so good, so
Yeah, so
enjoyable.
it came out in 2000 based on the Japanese book series Vampire Hunter D. In '85 there was like an OVA movie.
Yeah, there were. Oh, I think
Um,
it's like, was it OVA or was it its own separate movie?
it's a movie, but it's OVA. Like it's a
Okay,
singular
yeah,
OVA, but it's like not a budget of a movie, so I guess they just kind of call it
right.
whatever. It
Okay.
came out in 2000, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, and it's one of those movies that I saw when I was a weeaboo.
Hmm.
You know, ages ago when I didn't have a personality. No, when I was big into anime in high school, this movie was one of those movies that everyone who I was really into a lot of anime podcasts, like in 2006, before podcasts
Hmm.
were like really big. Back when you still had to go to iTunes and listen to a podcast, and I was a
Yeah.
big fan of this one anime podcast, and they always talked about like really popular anime movies, and
Hmm.
it was like Akira and Ghost in the Shell, and this was one of them.
Hmm.
Jinro was another one.
Yeah.
So I went and watched a ton of these famous movies at the time because I thought, well, if these dudes are saying that this fucking like must see anime, then I'm gonna go watch it. And it's more generally
Hmm.
it's animated better, it's more adult. It's not just Bleach or something.
Yeah.
So that's how I found.
It's not just Naruto.
Yeah, that's how I found this movie, those other movies, and like Pat Labor, or Pat Labor, or Pat Labor, whatever the fuck how you pronounce it. It's like a mech
Heard of
police
that.
mech thing. It's a really good movie. You should check it out. Actually,
Interesting. Okay.
I think you really dig it. Um, Apparently, real quick on the Pat Labor thing,
Hmm.
from what I understand, I could be wrong. It was made by a group of people in that like a studio, like a self made studio, who made this movie. It's like a
Okay.
police comedy mech movie. It's really fucking good. It's,
Mobo Police Pat Labor.
yeah, it's really fucking. And there's like a show too, but like I think there's two different universes. I never watched the show. I only watched the first movie. But I
Okay.
think there's a TV universe and a movie universe, and they're two separate things, but kind of the basic premise are the same.
Interesting.
The first movie is awesome. I really like the first movie. I haven't seen the second one. I haven't seen the show, but so Vampire Hunter D was in that same batch of like, hey, I'm fucking 14
Hmm.
years old, and I want to watch some edgy anime, some like
Hmm.
adult shit. And this podcast was like, yeah, you should watch Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, and I watched it. So it's been, you know, 15 years since then. I've only seen it once. I remembered bits and pieces of different scenes,
Hmm.
and this movie's rad.
Dude, this movie is fucking rad, and it's like I remember last week I was talking about I wanted to see this movie because I'd watched a video on a guy doing it, and it's just like he talked a little bit on it of like the Castlevania influences like this
Yeah.
series has, but like watching this movie, I was like, God damn, dude, this is Castlevania as fuck.
Well, I think it's vice versa. Because of Castlevania came
Oh
out.
yeah,
Because this is based on a book, and the books came out in like the early '80s.
yeah.
So I
Well,
think,
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like
yeah.
timeline wise, Castlevania
Maybe
like
visually though, maybe
15
visually because there's no art for the books, so maybe visually it's because it's very
Also, it's
Castlevania
very clear
visually.
that like Vampire Hunter D is the son of Dracula, so there's that whole
Yeah.
connection with it as well.
Well, I
So
mean, his name is D.
his name is D, and his father is the Vampire King.
Yeah.
So
So how did you watch this movie, by the way, English or Japanese?
I watched it in English. I tried to find a Japanese version, and I couldn't. It's also in like I didn't realize this going into but it must be like notoriously hard to like find this movie outside of like sailing the high seas. Um, but um, but I the only version I could find was the English version.
Well, I
Um,
was doing some research on the movie because
mhm.
what happened was I was watching it English first, and then I ended up watching it somewhere like at work or something, just when I had free time, and I only found the Japanese version. It's on YouTube. The Japanese version's on YouTube.
What?
Yeah.
God damn it!
Some
I
guys,
did watch it through my VLC player though,
yeah,
which I like watching movies on. So
some guys uploaded in Japanese with
all
hard
right,
coded subs
fuck.
on whatever. But from what I understand in the comments of that video, people were like, "Oh man, the English dub is so bad," and someone commented, "Actually, this movie was made in English."
Yeah, I don't find the English sub bad at all.
So I went to Wikipedia to
Um,
double check this, and apparently, when they aired it in Japan, they aired it with Japanese subs in English audio. So I think English was it was like Metal Gear Solid 1, like that's the
yeah.
standard thing. Um, but having switched, because basically right at the point in the movie I switched was right when, um, oh god, they're like at the refinery factory or whatever the fuck it's called, like what, like the like desert looking landscape where like
Oh,
the
when they
two,
face down against the shadow dude.
yeah, when the two guys are
Yeah,
fighting
yeah,
against
yeah.
that guy and they kill him. That's the moment I switched over the dub from to English to Japanese, and
I will say that the guy, I don't know who does it, but the guy who does like the main bounty hunter's voice with the crossbow, he does like the generic. I don't know if generic's the right term, but he definitely does like the gruff country bounty hunter voice. Like
yeah,
he definitely like. I don't know if he did, but I feel like he had a niche, and I feel like that was his niche.
yeah. The Japanese voice is better. I'll say that.
Okay,
I think all the voices in Japanese were better actually.
interesting. I didn't mind Dee's voice, and the chick's not bad, but I could definitely tell that like I can definitely tell. I feel like I might have enjoyed a lot more of it in Japanese, which is weird because yeah, hearing about the fact that like it was made for English, I don't know. Maybe it was just the fact that like the voice actors they chose weren't
Yeah,
that great. Like 50% of them, I think 50% of them are good and 50% are like bad. Like I like the villain ones. I think that all of those voice actors are really good. I thought Dee's was really good. Um, the chicks wasn't bad.
yeah,
I think her name's like Leia or something like that.
yeah. Layla.
She's not bad, but like all the bounty hunter
Let's
voices
pause there
are
real
like
quick.
kind of like eh.
Let's pause there real fast.
Yeah.
Uh, 90s 2000s
Mm-hmm.
uh
Oh, dude, this
style
is that niche,
of
dude. Skin tight
the
bodysuits.
the 90s 2000s style of drawing anime girls. It was the top tier. I don't
Top
know
tier.
what happened since then where we decided to change it because that shit looks like terrible now. But back then, you're
Dude,
like,
that fucking
yeah,
leather bodysuit.
yeah.
That's a good shit
These
right there.
they make these characters look like adults,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, all right, all right.
Hmm.
You're annoying as fuck character, but whatever, you know.
Yeah, she was a super annoying character. That whole shit where she's like, I get it, where it's like, the whole thing of like him being like a half vampire, half human, which is like, also I couldn't stop thinking about Blade the entire time because like clearly either, I don't know who came out first, but like clearly one is a ripoff concept wise of the other, where they're both the same character in the fact that like they're both like half human, half
Yeah,
vampire and they can walk in the day. Although Blade doesn't have any adverse side effects to walking in the day, unlike D, who's like, if he walks too much in the daylight, he basically like, I don't know what it is. I know he has some weird like demon
Parasite.
or
Yeah,
something in his hand that like
yeah,
tells him he's like basically a sidekick, and he
yeah.
tells him like he gets like heat stroke, which I don't know if that was just like a bad English translation or whatnot, but
No, it's
like
sun sickness.
yeah, well, yeah, he basically like he can't move if he's exposed to too much sunlight, which unlike Blade. Um, but I just kept thinking the whole time I was like, God damn, like this is Blade, like this is Blade but cooler.
Oh,
It's
excuse
just like
me.
almost impossible to say because like
Excuse
Blade's so
me.
bad, but
Blade, but cool.
I
He's
like
cooler than
Vampire
Blade.
a lot. God damn, dude, I like this
Motherfucker,
character.
what?
He has a robot horse, Jason.
Excuse me. Vampire Hunter D is very cool. It is Mad Max
It
combined
has
with
Matador hat.
vampires.
He got that musketeer hat.
No,
Oh,
it is
dude.
Mad Max combined with vampires, combined with spaceships, combined with
Yeah, it's
cowboys.
like some weird shit where they have rocket ships
Yeah.
that are also made out of like Victoria era built
Yes.
castles.
So the fact that and this is very cool, aesthetically cool, art's cool, the
World
movie's
building
cool.
wise, it's fucking
It's
some of the
a
baddest shit I've ever seen.
it's like a vampire hunting road movie where they're just like traveling
Yeah.
across this country to find this bitch.
It's also that weird. I don't know if it was just like if it was a lot of anime had this, but it's also that weird like timeline mixing together where it's like you have futuristic shit where you've got their shit that it's like a tank, and then she's got the weird like unicycle motorcycle or whatever, but then you've also got like Vampire Hunter D who's like riding on his robotic horse or whatever, like being like basically like the desperado cowboy type
Yeah.
of character. But then you've also got the vampire who doesn't use like a car that clearly exists, but instead rides around in like a horse and carriage
Yep.
from like the fucking 1800s. But all of those horses are robot horses. It's very strange. There's
Let's
a lot
just
of like different like visual styles and like
yes.
architecture and stuff like that that's like all mixing together in this weird world.
And while all that stuff is really it's anime, so you don't mind it that it's mixing together, they're putting it together. Because if it was anything else, you kind of question it. And while all that stuff is really, really cool, it is still somehow just in my mind, and just why I try to add up the, like, each thing I'm adding up in my mind, like, okay, Victorian spaceships, Castle of Blood, Blood Vampire Queen, long saber sword like Sephiroth, robot horror. I'm adding it all up. They all have little individual number points that I'm calculating in my mind, but and when it's all summed up, it still is not even close to being as cool as Blade.
I'm gonna disagree with you there.
Rave techno vampire scene?
Jason, this movie has our shit, dude. What are we? What are we? First, hold on.
Okay.
Take out Blade. What are we? We are sci-fi fans.
Yes.
We are Western fans.
Yes.
We are Mad Max fans.
Yep.
We're post-apocalypse fans.
Uh-huh.
This movie has all that shit, dude. All that shit.
Except for one thing, Zach.
What does Blade have? Blade has 90s. Blade has the 90s.
No. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust has all those things except for one key ingredient that Blade does have.
Look, I'm sorry that Vampire Hunter D is not black, but you can't change that.
Not that. This is what's missing. And it's pretty integral to the story of why I like Blade.
I'm sorry it doesn't have technical music.
Vampire Hunter D, the character. The movie has some of this, but the character has none of this. He has zero well choreographed fight scenes. Every fight scene is one slash or one stab. He has nothing good.
He's got his fight scene against Myers, which is also a terrible name for an antagonist.
That is 2 clashes between a cape and a sword, and then it heats up,
and
then he
stabs
stabs
First of all,
him.
Myers' shit is fucking dope. He's got like a cape that is a sword, but he can also do like an armor hand shit where he's got like claws and stuff. That shit's dope.
The fight
and
scenes...
the Bandit Hunters have like some of the coolest shit ever, where you've got the giant guy that just like has a sledgehammer that is also a stake, and then you've got the weird like cross shuriken shit, and then you've got the guy that like it's not a crossbow because it doesn't have a bow.
No.
He apparently just is like superhumanly strong and just like fucking slams fucking arrows out of his wrist like he's... I don't even know what it's like. I've never seen anything like it. Like he doesn't... I think it has
a string, dude.
He just slams it out of his wrist.
I think it has a string.
I don't see any...
I'm pretty sure he has a string
or anything.
I'm pretty sure he does.
I see a hole where he puts the arrows into.
But the point is this. They put all their money into animating traveling scenes and zero money into animating him using the fucking sword. Well, and you can't deny that because it's fucking true.
I don't think that they put it into traveling scenes. I think they put a lot of money into all the other characters' fighting scenes, and then they basically were like, D's OP, so he's just gonna kill everybody in
literally
like one
that fucking when he fights the werewolf guy.
Well, that's
what
like the laziest
fucking
point.
Fight was that?
Also, but the werewolf, you can't say he doesn't have money because that werewolf has a scene earlier where he takes out the bounty hunter, and that shit's fucking dope.
Yeah, exactly. They put all the money everywhere else.
That's what I'm saying. They put all the money into everybody else.
And then traveling scenes.
Like D's OP, so we don't have to spend that much.
Because literally, this movie is literally Mad Max Fury Road, where he's not the main character. Like, D is not the main character. It's the fucking girl. The girl's the main character. D is Max, where he's actually a side character.
Yeah, but I think that also makes it compelling, where it's like, because I mean, honestly, if you look at D as a character, I don't think he has a lot to like, and maybe that's just the fault of this movie. Maybe if I watched the OVA or like read the books, I would think differently. But like, this movie-wise, I don't think he has enough of a character to like maintain the movie. So the fact that you have this secondary character who has this backstory that you can like glom onto and something that's a little bit more relatable as a human compared to like D, who's like this, you know, inhuman, half vampire, half human thing, and he's got this like whole cultural thing that like you don't really understand besides the like vague racist aspects that you can glom onto kind of with him. But like as far as like compelling characters and backstories and things that you can cling on to, obviously the girl has like the more compelling stuff. So like Mad Max Fury Road, it makes more sense to like have the focus like gleam onto her as a character.
Or you do what you're supposed to do, because Blade did it, which was half vampire, half human character story, and you show badass fight scenes, which what Blade did, and Blade made a lot of money.
Yeah, Blade did.
And he still also added techno, and he also added blood rage.
That
What's it
only
called?
happens the
Rave.
first 5 minutes.
Fine. He fucking.
There's not another blood rape in the entire series. All I'm saying is,
You don't think that
Blade 1 established that there's blood raves. I don't see a single other
you
blood
don't
rave.
think that Mahershala in his fucking movie or show, wherever the fuck it
if
is.
they put a blood rave in Mahershala Ali's Blade show, then I stand corrected.
No.
And you're right.
Does Vampire Hunter's D sword have an automatic defense against people using it?
Well, nobody steals a sword.
But Blades does have it, just in case someone happens to grab it. What does Blades swords do?
But also, you have to take into the fact that Blades has an automatic defense because Blade knows he's going to lose his sword. Vampire Hunter D is nah, bitch. Ain't nobody taking my blade because I'm going to chop him in half before they even get close enough to touch.
Blade doesn't knows that he doesn't need to use the sword only because he's an expert at hand-to-hand combat. Whereas Vampire Hunter D has ability to do two things. I jump in the air and the screen flashes black and white, and then I cut someone, you don't even see the cut.
First of all, he jumps up in the air and he looks like a goddamn bat because he's half vampire and it looks fucking dope. Because his cape is rad as shit.
Yeah, they animated the fight scene shitty. That's my problem. The movie is really, really cool, and the concept is really, really cool, and I like everything about the movie for the most part.
I do want to read more Vampire Hunter D stuff now.
Yeah, I'm sure they're cooler.
Vampire Hunter D stuff.
I like the idea of like the road traveling movie.
Yeah.
I like that they're a race against time. It's a big chase movie, which is
Mad Max, I think this is one of the things that really like glommed onto me about it is like, as far as like an action movie concerned, like not even anime, but like as far as like just being an action movie, she gets off the jump. First 5 minutes, girl's kidnapped, guy's hired to get the girl back.
Yeah.
Bam, we're into the fucking inciting incident. Plot's fucking going. Introduce the bounty hunters. Bam, you got your secondary antagonist he's trying to compete against because they're both bounty hunters with the same shit. Bam, next scene you get the backstory with the girl, and maybe she's not like entirely been kidnapped. Bam, that's like the secondary plot point. And then you got the twist at the end with Carmilla, who's like actually well, she's not alive. She's like a spirit, but then she like
needs the
blood.
That
shit still makes no sense to me. That's like the weird like trippy shit that really doesn't make a lot of sense. Where she's like a spirit, but then she's also like she does show up.
She's like locked in the coffin. She needs like blood to reawaken.
The thing that the coffin is her.
Yeah.
So she's dead technically.
Yes.
But she's also like, I guess she doesn't really actually physically interact with anybody, but it feels like she's like physically there in this space. I think that might be also the problem with the animation as well, that it's like it's not clear her existence in this world or whatnot. Because I mean, she shows up in this world. She shows up in front of the guy and the girl, and like clearly they can see her and they're talking with her and they're interacting with her.
Yeah.
And she's not like doing the ghost shit.
And when after she gets the blood and she exits the coffin as the blood monster, it does. How does she die?
Type of shit
how does she die though?
Well, the way I understood it was that because at the time D was like facing off against her spirit, because then she goes through all that shit where she's like he's betraying his race and all this kind of stuff.
But how many slashes does it take for him to kill her?
He like slashes her spirit.
Right, one slash, right?
Well, obviously he's Sephiroth, so it's just one
slash. And then she goes, "Oh, you're so powerful!" And then she dies.
Well, look, he's got fucking Dracula.
How did Blade kill Frost though? Whole scene.
First of all, that's the worst comparison for you to take up.
No, listen.
Talk about Blade 2. He kicks a bunch of blood vials into him. And
hold on. No, let's compare apples to apples, okay?
At least compare Blade 2.
I'm comparing it. I'm comparing it apples to apples, okay? So hold on, Zach.
Technically, the OVA is the first movie. If you want to compare apples to apples, you compare Bloodlust to
OVA is not a movie. OVA is something else. There's no
it's
OVA.
120 minutes.
It was on TV though. That ain't a movie, right? So here's what happens.
All right.
So Carmilla needs blood to rebirth. What does Frost do? Uses blood to rebirth.
He uses the souls of familiars to become a blood
and the elder people, right?
Well, he killed all the other people.
So he uses blood to be
He didn't
born.
use their blood. They were all dead because
But
they
he-
have that scene where he makes the guy explode
So
on the
just
beach or
blood
whatever.
of people that don't matter, which is what this girl is. Uses blood from blood that doesn't matter to go to
Well,
a
it's
new
just
plane.
at that point, it's just the blood of a human. Yeah.
So, but when he becomes the blood god,
Yeah.
and Blade's mom is there, which is infinitely more compelling.
Also, he has to use Blade's blood to become the blood god.
Right, the blood of a half blood.
Yes.
That whole fight scene, Blade has to think outside the box. He has to fucking figure it out. How am I gonna beat this guy? What am I gonna do? He's a blood god. I got blood coagulant stuff. Shit. What does Vampire Hunter D do?
First of all, he's Sephiroth, so he slashes her spirit. He slashes a ghost, Jason. Blade fought an actual person who was temporarily a blood god. Vampire Hunter D kills ghosts, man. He's the ultimate ghost hunter. Zach Baggins wishes he could be Vampire Hunter D.
I'm just saying, man. Like, I like this movie a lot. It's a really rad movie, but to
It's
even
really fun, man. I had a really good time with it.
To even be like compare the two, I think it's really.
I think you can at least compare them.
I think it's not fair.
You're right. It's not fair to Blade. You're right.
One guy is Wesley Snipes. The other one is a fucking cartoon. So, hey, Zach, any final thoughts for Vampire Hunter D? Bloodlust.
Really fucking good movie, guys. If you haven't watched it, don't be like me and wait that long. Watch it because it's a fun movie. And Vampire Hunter D novels are coming out in the next couple months. I'm about to pre-order mine now because I had a fucking great time with this movie. So if you're interested after you watch it, check those out.
Yeah, I agree with all that. It's a really fun movie. It's really well made, really well animated. Those are just the negative points that I did mention, though. The action scenes were definitely the least good. But other than that, it's a good
action
movie.
scenes. I think there are certain action scenes that are not terrible, but definitely his are definitely the weakest for sure.
What makes no sense to me, I could have missed it when I was transferring over from English to Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
When I was like, maybe I missed a couple scenes. Like after, real quick before we end the podcast,
Yeah.
when the big guy dies,
Mm-hmm.
with the clown guy, it just cuts away, and then they're somewhere else posted up watching D. Like, they don't show them like getting in their truck and leaving. Right?
I'm trying to remember now.
They don't show them getting back in their van, like leaving their friend. They just like cuts away.
Well, the friend dies, and they realize that he died.
Yes.
And then, I think the next scene is like he's at whatever, the Night City or whatever, and then, well, I mean, he was already behind them, so clearly they would have a head start if they were like scout or.
The camera like pans to the sky and is like laughing, and then just that's it.
I don't remember.
How did you guys get past that? Like, what the fuck happened?
All I remember is all of a sudden the one guy had binoculars and he was watching
exactly.
TV.
So you're like, what the fuck happened? How'd you guys get past this dude?
I think he just left.
But Blade accounts for everything. Where'd Whistler go? We got it figured out. Where'd the girl go?
We don't figure that out until the next movie.
We got it all figured out, dude. Whistler dies. Remember, he dies in the end of Blade 1.
But he doesn't.
But Blade 2's like, Blade 2 goes, you know what? We brought him back. He's a vampire.
First of all, Blade 2 did some shitty writing. We're like, he didn't really die. He got turned into a vampire. Yeah, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, guys, you should watch the movie if you haven't seen it yet. Thanks for listening. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Yes. See you guys back next week with more License to View.
Yes, guys.